Wednesday, June the 29th. Lake level is still about the same as it was last week. It's right at 916. Water temperature has kind of cooled down a little bit, and it's probably going to cool down a little bit more because we got a little bit of a cold front coming in. I think we're supposed to get down in the low 60s at night, and 80s pretty comfortable during this weekend. Looks like we're going to have quite a bit of rain this coming weekend. Now, a lot of the bites kind of changed. I'm not catching them on the drop shot near as good as I was a week or so ago. It seems like a lot of the fish have suspended up a lot higher in the water column. I'm still catching quite a few on the main lake on spoons, whether it be a flutter spoon or a slab spoon. White and silver seems to be working the best around them deeper docks. Some of them are in the stalls, but it seemed like the last few days a lot more of them have moved out around the docks, and like I said, they're suspended. What I'm doing, instead of vertical fishing the drop shot, I'm casting it and letting it drop down. Most of the bites are coming anywhere from 15 to 25 feet, and doing the same thing with a spoon. Another way I'm catching them out there around some of them docks is swim bait seems to be working pretty good. Fishing several different ones, but anywhere from like a 3.5 to a 4.5 inch swim bait. This is a Kitech rainbow shad color. And what I'm doing with it, I'm just casting it out, and I'm using different heads, anywhere from a 3/16 up to a 3/8 ounce head, depending on how deep I want it to go down and how fast I want it to fall. And I'm letting it get down to about 12, 15 foot around them docks, especially early in the morning. And just reeling it real slow. You just got to be real patient. You're just going to feel a little tick, but there's been some decent fish doing that. Now, normally when the boat traffic gets as heavy as it's been getting, if you're going to fish much past 10 or 11 o'clock, you need to get up into one of the river arms, whether it be the Long Creek arm, the Kings, or the Upper White, the James. And I've actually been starting to get a little bit better bottom bite up in those areas. And what I've been catching them on up there is a football jig, a wobble head, or this one is a pig rig made by Pig Sticker. And I'm throwing a Magic Craw 5/8 ounce football jig with a Strike King Rage Craw, but like an Ultra Vibe, Zoom Ultra Vibe Speed Craw will work, twin tail chompers, something with a little bit of leg action seems to be working real good. Now this is a Strike King head. This one does real good in the brush piles. It's got a pointed head. I seem to be able to get it through the brush a lot better than I do the football head. A football head seems to be, real good on the rocks. This Strike King one comes through the brush real good if you're fishing brush piles. If you can find them brush piles 15 to 25 feet of water, there's been some decent fish in the brush. You just got to work the baits through them real slow. And even a Carolina rig. Now most of the bottom bite has been up in the river arms. I've been getting some around, some bottom bite around Ants Creek and some around Kimberling City, early. But once the boat traffic gets out, it's real hard to try to get out there and fish on any of those main lake points. Another thing I've been throwing as well as a football jig is a Carolina rig. I've been using a 3/4 ounce weight, and baby brush hog seems to be working real good. And on the Strike King, like the structure head, another thing I'm throwing is just a Zoom Magnum finesse worm. I'm just throwing a watermelon red, watermelon candy, a straight green pumpkin, and I'll throw the same worm on the Strike King structure head as well. Now also up there, starting to get a crankbait bite. We've been getting a crankbait bite on and off, but it seems like the last few days when them fish are getting out there and suspending a lot more. And even around Kimberling City, I can get bit on a deep diving crankbait. Now, a lot of times with them fish being up suspended, you don't have to have the crankbait bouncing off of the bottom. What I'm doing, I'm getting out there about 25, 30 feet of water, and I'm working the crankbait through the pole timber, bouncing it off some of them. Now, I am getting quite a few baits stuck, but I'm able to get most of them back. But this 6XD chartreuse sexy shad. Another one that'll work good is a fat-free shad will work good. And this is another Strike King 6XT. They work up in the river arms as well, the same place I'm throwing the Carolina rig and the football jig. And even you can go way up in the river arms, especially this time of year when the boat traffic gets up. You know, even though the water's getting real hot with this rain that we've had, it's supposed to get quite a bit more. I mean, there's fresh water coming in to them upper river arms, a little bit of current. Those fish will stay shallow. What you want to look for is get way up in the river arms where there's only about 10 to 15 foot of water left, and any of those snags that you see out there in the middle. What I mean by snags, an old tree that's got wedged in the mud, maybe a brush pile, and take it either 1.5 or 2.5 square bill crankbait, throw it through it and around it. If that doesn't work, pick up a small 5/16 or 3/8 ounce finesse jig or a beaver and run that through there. Now with the clouds and the rain that we're supposed to have the next 4 or 5 days, I mean, one thing I'm going to have to throw is a topwater. Now we had a good day for it. I think it was Monday. It was overcast all morning, and I was convinced that they would bite it, but I was wrong. It may have just been the area that I was in. I was up the upper White River. But we have been catching some fish on top in the morning around some boat docks. But with the amount of fish and bait that I'm seeing up there suspended in that 15 foot depth over that deeper water, with this cloud cover and the rain coming in, there should be a topwater bite when it clouds up. Especially when I'm getting bit on a swim bait, so hopefully we get the cloud cover coming in. A person can pull them up on a topwater bait. But still a pretty decent drop shot bite. It's not as good as it was a couple weeks ago, and a lot of that bite was out on the main lake flat gravel points, 35 to 45 feet deep. What I found I've had to do is back out to 50 or 60 off of them same points, and the fish are out there. Some of them are out there suspended 25 to 30s. And even on a lot of the main lake bluff ends over the submerged timber. For some reason, like I say, last 3 or 4 days, a lot of the fish that were coming off the bottom on the drop shot seemed like they pulled out over the deeper water and suspended. I've talked to a few divers, and in different areas of the lake, they tell me the thermocline's really not that deep, about 18 to 20 foot, and that kind of makes sense with where I've been seeing all the bait and the fish suspended on my locator the last few days. So try and key on that depth range, whether you're on the mid-lake or up in the river arms. It seems like whether you're fishing on the bottom or suspended fish, last few days that's been the best depth range. So it's going to be a busy weekend out there. Be safe. And until next week, good luck, good fishing.